is so weird. Not only does it have Michelin chefs making food, but every prisoner who comes in is allowed to bring one item of his own. One of the more bizarre aspects of the prison is its lift-like structure. No one knows how many floors it has. Jack, who just came in, found himself on the 48th floor of the prison. His cellmate, a chubby old man, picked up a pillow and knelt down in front of him. Jack was at a loss. He couldn't understand why the old man did this. But before Jack knows it, a prison alarm blares. A platform filled with a large meal appeared, and the old man began to eat. But when Jack looked closer, the food was clearly left over from someone else. He looked up again and suddenly realized that they were on the 48th floor, and that the food had already been eaten by people on the 47th floor above him. The old man advised Jack to eat some, as food was only given out once a day. Jack hesitated for a long time, and then picked a clean apple and put it in his pocket. The platform descended slowly, and the old man took his last sip and dropped the bottle. Jack was puzzled and asked why he did that, but the old man said, "No matter what you do, the people down there will continue to eat, and the people up there will probably have contaminated the food already." Soon, Jack noticed that the room was getting hot, and the old man explained that because Jack had hidden a meal, the temperature on this floor would rise and fall indefinitely until they died of the heat or froze to death. Jack was so frightened that he threw away the apple. The next day, the old man ate as much as he could. Jack still didn't want to eat the leftovers. He asked the old man how many floors there were. The old man said he didn't know. The 132nd floor was the most he had ever been to. The old man said there was no food there at all. The men up there ate it all up. Jack asked the old man, "You were on the 132nd floor for a month. How did you survive?" The old man looked at his knife and was silent for a moment. Someone had just fallen to the 132nd floor. You can guess what happened next. No sooner had they finished than a body fell from above. Suicide seems to be a regular occurrence in this prison. Until this day, the platform brought food, and there was a woman sitting on it. Jack spoke to her, but the woman only looked up at him and did not respond. The man said the woman would come down once a month to look for her lost child. Soon she went down as the alarm sounded, and a prisoner on the 49th floor sees a woman, and he goes all beastly. "Let go of that girl, you motherfuckers." Jack tried to stop them, but the floor was too high for him to jump. But soon the scream changed to a man's voice, and a woman climbed back onto the platform. She had killed them both. Jack felt he couldn't go on like this. He wanted to do something. He felt that people on each floor should be rationed so that the food would be evenly distributed to each floor so that the people below would not starve to death. The people downstairs ignored him and even laughed at him as a fool. The old man saw Jack being bullied and stood up for him. "Let me spice things up for you, you motherfuckers." Time goes by. Jack seems to adapt to the life here. He and the old man also gradually familiar. That evening the old man suddenly said to him, "Do you believe in God? If you believe that, pray for it, because I already smell the gas, and when we wake up tomorrow, we may not be on the same floor, but hopefully not too low." When Jack wakes up again, he finds himself bound. The old man came up to him with a knife and said, "Unfortunately, we have been sent down to the 171st floor, where there will be no food at all. When you get hungry, you will do something to me, so I have to tie you up. I will endure it for a week, and after a week, when I am hungry, I will put a piece of your meat to eat." Jack realized that each person was allowed one item. Obviously, the old man is carrying a knife. Maybe the old man's last cellmate was also eaten by the old man. In this way, 7 days passed. The old man finally laid his hand on Jack. Jack struggled and shouted, but to no avail, until he saw the last woman coming down the platform. Because Jack was one of the few good people in the prison, the woman decided to jump down and save him. In a few strokes, the woman knocked the old man down. Jack took the knife and finished him off. In this way, Jack was rescued, and the woman returned to the platform to continue her descent to find her daughter. But as time went by, Jack could not bear his hunger. Before long, the self-proclaimed civilization of his climbed to the old man's body. After a difficult month, Jack was lucky enough to be assigned to the 33rd floor. His new cellmate is a woman with a dog who used to work for the prison, but somehow showed up. The new inmates revealed to him the purpose of the prison. Insiders call the prison a vertical self-management center with 200 floors. To put it simply, there was enough food for everyone, and if everyone ate a ration, there was enough food. But now the people above are eating too much, and the people below are not eating. Consciously, the woman only ate a little each day and tried to persuade the lower classes to do the same, but the lower classes did not listen. Until this day, Jack finally couldn't take it anymore. He walked up and said, "If you don't discipline yourself and eat less, he's going to shit on the food." The lower class was shocked and did as Jack told them. A few days later, as the platform slowly descended, the woman reappeared, but this time, lying on the platform, unconscious. Jack and his fellow inmates worked together to bring the woman down for medical treatment. In the middle of the night, he was awakened by a cry and saw two women fighting each other. Turns out the woman killed his cellmate's dog and ate it. A despondent cellmate tells Jack that she has worked here for 25 years. She had cancer recently, and she wanted to make things better for the inmates before she died, but apparently she couldn't either. Another month passes, and this time Jack wakes up to find himself on the 202nd second floor, and his cellmate has hanged himself in despair. Jack looked down. The bottom is still endless. The original inmates do not know this prison. There are more than 200 floors. Jack howls in despair, as the only food in front of him is the corpse of his cellmate. The other day he was able to stay hungry with the books he had brought with him, but before long, he finally cannot stand hunger. He came to the side of his cellmate. Another month passed, and this time he was assigned to the 6th floor, and his cellmate was replaced with Chatty Morgan. The item he brought was a rope, and he wanted someone on top to catch it and pull him up so he could escape floor by floor. With great difficulty he managed to talk to the prisoners on the 5th floor, who caught the rope Morgan had thrown, but at the last moment they let go of it, and Morgan nearly fell. Key moment: Jack caught Morgan, but the rope fell down. Morgan was very angry, his jailbreak tools so no. Soon, a platform of food arrived, this time plentiful and almost uneaten. After eating and drinking, they decided to work together to change this filthy prison. Jack tells Morgan that they can go down with the food and control the amount of prisoners in each floor so that everyone in each floor has something to eat. Finally follow the platform to the top. Morgan agreed, and the two men made their weapons and began to descend floor by floor. The people on the first 50 floors are obedient because they'll get their food anyway. But as things got worse, some tried to eat their fellow inmates, others ignored their threats to overeat, but more of them found dead bodies. It was hell on earth, and as the platform descended, at one level, Jack saw the woman who had been looking for the child. She had been picked up and killed by two strong men. Jack wanted revenge for the woman. They so and strong fighting together to solve the strong man. They are covered all over with cuts and bruises. They dragged each other, injured bodies continue to fall. Finally they came to the last layer. They found a little girl under the bed, which seemed to be the daughter the woman had been looking for. We're just a few floors away from reuniting mother and daughter. They took out the last of the cake and handed it to the girl. They wanted to keep the cake so that it would follow the platform to the first floor, so that the people at the top would know that someone was trying to change the ending. Jack soon sees that Morgan has bled to death, so he carries the little girl onto the platform and lets her follow her to the top as he walks into the darkness. The movie ends. The small budget film has won rave reviews not only because of the bloody violence that strikes at our hearts, but also because the hierarchy is more like a microcosm of real society. With a certain amount of social resources, the wealthy class at the top can get more resources by virtue of their advantages, while the people at the bottom can only share the remaining resources, or even rely on looting for survival capital. For those at the bottom, civilization and humanity are no longer important. Survival is the most important thing, and this kind of naked irony is not exactly the same as many people in our reality.